What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Arms Room 15 podcast. Devin, we're both wearing the same clothes as the last podcast.
Right, we don't change.
We don't change.
It's like, who needs...
We stank all week. No, we're doing two. We're doing two just to, kind of free up so that way I don't have to take up every day of the week for this guy.
It's like, it's okay. I don't have a life.
All right, so this week I thought, what would be a great topic to talk about? Let us pray. Let us pray. So let's talk about the options for the, how can I say this politically correct?
Just say it.
The poors.
The poor people's.
The poors.
The poor people's rifles.
I'm actually looking them up right now because I want to get an accurate price range, if you will. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about what options do you have if you don't have a lot of money?
Well, here's a first big one. What price range would you consider the poor rifles?
Okay, so I actually fell into
weapons.
this when I got it when I started buying guns after I turned of legal age.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so when I was buying guns when I became of age, I was in that category, man. I could not afford a $400 Glock, $500-$600 SIG. They were expensive. So believe it or not, I've actually owned a High Point. So I would say the pours range would be like between 0 and 250. And I say 0 because if you're poor, sometimes you'll acquire it by bartering or other means.
Right. I can't say I've done any of that. My second firearm I ever owned was $1,100.
Yeesh, I don't think I've ever bought a weapon that's been $1,100.
This was my M1 Garand. So that is the most expensive one I've ever bought.
Yeah, so, that's a beast of a rifle.
Now they go for like $2,200.
Oh yeah, they're expensive.
So, but mine's original 1943.
Right. I like the 308 versions. Just because 308 is a little bit easier.
How dare you?
The 308's a little bit easier.
How dare you?
It's like I just stabbed him in the heart.
In my presence.
How dare you? You say such things in my presence.
It's like the only holy round that belongs in the M1 Garand is the 30-06.
Okay, I will say this. I've shot his 30-06. That sucker leaves bruises, okay? We're just going to put that out there. Like whole shoulder, you can't see it because the microphone is right there, but whole shoulder.
They're called Garand kisses.
Garand kisses?
Yeah. Okay, real quick.
That was like a kiss from a donkey.
So, real quick, I keep saying the word Garand.
It's Garand. It's Garand.
Let me clarify.
Okay, clarify for us.
The man's name is Garand.
Okay.
When it got adopted by the military, everyone called it Garand. So both are correct. So when you say, the way I like to say it is, Mr. Garand created the M1 Garand.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
But in reality, if you really want to get real technical, you will never see the word Garand or Garand in any of the military literature, like the doctrine or anything. It's all M1 rifle, 30 caliber.
M1 rifle.
Yep,
okay,
that's it. You'll never. They either called it M1 or M1 rifle. You'll virtually never hear Garand unless it's a civilian documentary talking about it.
Okay.
So just a little bit of nerdiness, firearm nerdiness right there.
There's your firearm nerdness for the day.
Yeah.
So,
as I know in the comments, people are like, it's actually pronounced
Garand.
So what you got?
All right, so I'm looking on High Point's website. I don't think they have prices. Are we allowed to talk about prices? Are we even allowed? That's a gray area.
Let's not talk about. Let's talk general.
General. Okay, so I know the general area. So like I said, I would consider that range between 0 to 250. I have actually owned a High Point 45. It stuck out the bottom like that. Wait. It stuck out the bottom like that far, like way down here, but you know. I mean,
I've never owned a High Point. I fired one. I don't even remember what kind it was, but
they are heavy.
oh, yeah, I know.
They are if
Basically
you've
holding
never
a brick.
handled a high point, you're not wrong. It is like carrying a brick in your pocket or on you.
So you could probably build a house with a bunch of. If you have enough of them, you could probably build a house out of it.
Oh, absolutely. You could drive nails with it, no problem. And not like the people in the shooting world, they like to say, oh, I can drive a tack nail from so far. They're talking about shooting precisely at like X amount of yards. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about actually taking it and smacking a nail with it.
Like a hammer.
Using it as a hammer. Just don't do it loaded,
And
please.
you wouldn't care because it's a High Point.
Yeah, and if it breaks, hey,
Go get another
go
one.
get another one. They're literally disposable. But okay, so we were talking about this a little bit, a tiny bit off camera, but like some of these gun companies, like I would consider, okay, so going off of the guns that I've had before when I was poor and couldn't afford weapons, some of us could afford weapons like crazy. Some of us had military people and connections. I did not.
Now, to be fair, most of my stuff were not that expensive.
$1,100 is a lot of money.
Well, my next two rifles were Mosins
Oh,
for like $99.
I was gonna, yeah. So, you know, what's funny is I owned a Mosin, but even when I bought it, it was more expensive. So, but I would consider Keltec. I would consider Sky, which used to be, a lot of people don't know this, but Sky Firearms used to be SKYY, and now it's SCCY, Sky Firearms. I've owned one of those. I have owned a High Point. I have not owned a Keltec, but Keltec is another one where it's like, and I love Keltec's naming system. Their personal 380 firearm is literally called the P3 letter A letter T.
Because Keltec is just like that.
It's simple. Hey, and you know what's funny is we were talking about the Keltec, what is it, the S2000, isn't it? The model?
You talking about the folding one?
Yeah, the sub.
I actually don't know.
It's not a submachine gun. It's a.
No, I didn't pay attention to the name.
Yeah.
I just looked
so
at it. I
we're
was
talking
looking
about the
at it.
folding Keltec that it literally folds like this. Well, now, side note. This is a whole side note for you guys. Now, Smith & Wesson has come out with one just like it, but instead of folding backwards, it folds sideways like that. So that was a little bit of a
Right, contortion.
little bit of a visual for you there.
How'd it go again?
Like that.
Yeah. Now it all comes together.
So, anyways, yeah. So, I can't look at prices. I was gonna look at. Okay. So generally, I would consider those to be, you know, relatively cheap. You know, again, I couldn't go out and buy a $400 or $500. I mean, I think they were like $500 even when I was like getting into my era of guns, if you will. We've already established that he's much older. I am much younger.
Much older. We're both in our 30s.
Okay, that's fair. But I'm just hitting the 30 plane.
I'm just almost over the hill.
You're on the other edge of the 30 plane, so
I know.
it's all good, buddy.
Pray for me.
I'll be there. I'm broken. Anyways, so God, what was I saying? Now I lost my
Poor
train.
people stuff.
Poor people stuff. Wow, it sounds horrible when you say it that way. But listen, if it's the only thing that you have to protect yourself, don't buy a Sky. Sky, you want to know why
Words
I
of
say
wisdom.
that? Hit me up, okay?
Words of wisdom.
I'm telling you. Listen, I owned one, and I don't want to talk bad about it, but unless they can like show me that they have fixed it, I will never buy another one. Now, Sky is one of those ones that's just like High Point. Their price range, their price point for their pistols have stayed the same consistently over like the last 7, 8, 9 years. Their price point had, even throughout all the inflation and everything else, their price point has stayed consistent. That being said, everyone used to tell me you get what you pay for. They're not wrong. You get what you pay for. Because even a $300 Glock, which there are those out there, you gotta look. But even a $300 Glock will outperform a brand new, one of these super cheap guns. Although, see, I go back to the High Point, and everybody knocks on High Point, but man, when I had mine, I never had issues with
The
mine.
thing is that back in the day, surplus firearms that were really good used to be in the poor people bracket just because there's so many of them and no one was buying them. But
Right.
now all of a sudden everyone's wanting to buy them.
Oh, they're...
Like the Mosin Nagants,
So you bought yours for $99.
I bought two. One of them I bought off a buddy. And this was actually the paratrooper version.
Mm-hmm. The 44, I believe.
Yes. I ended up giving it to my brother for his birthday. I regret doing that so bad.
No, he loves his brother.
No, I do, but I regret giving him the rifle. I love that rifle. Well, okay, at the time, it wasn't working correct.
Okay. So wait.
And
You
I
gave
was
your brother
a
a
broken-
non-working gun? Happy birthday! Here's a piece of junk.
If you can get it to work, it's yours. And he got it. It turns out it just needed a screw tightened. And I didn't know that.
This is coming from a guy who was an armorer
Yes.
in the army.
Yes, and it was while I was an armor in the army. That was what.
That's even worse.
that's what
Stop
made-
talking.
I hated my life at that moment.
Wow.
I was just like, am I really that stupid? I was questioning everything I ever knew about guns at that moment because I was sitting there like,
Oh my gosh.
How?
Okay, so I kind of have a similar story, not with guns, but I had a buddy of mine when I lived up north. He was an older guy. He really, him and his wife and me and my wife used to go out and have dinner all the time. They're good people. They're much older. They never had any kids. Me and my wife don't have any kids. So one year he came to me and he's like, "You work on motors, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can tinker a little bit." He's like, "Well, if you can get this snowblower to run, it's yours." I'm like, "Challenge accepted." I took it home, emptied out the old gas, put the new gas in it, basically like cleaned out the carburetor real good, changed the spark plug. Boom. That was it. The next time I saw him at church, he was like, "So did you ever get that run?" I said, "Oh yeah, I got it run the first day." He goes, "Really? What'd you do?" He's thinking I ripped half the motor apart. I'm like, "No, I just cleaned out the carburetor, put a spark plug in it, pulled it, and it started right away." And let me tell you, that thing was a blessing. Because when you go from shoveling snow to throwing snow with vigor, like, there is no comparison. It's like going from throwing rocks at people for defense to going and
Okay, anyway,
We
back
can
to the pores.
back to the pores.
But then my other Mosin I bought at an actual store
Yeah.
was 120.
Okay.
But still, even that, it's
So when I bought mine, I talked the guy down.
wait. You had to talk him down.
Yeah,
On a
I
Mosin?
bought. Yeah, I bought it from a gun show. I bought my Mosin from a gun show, and I have a YouTube video somewhere from like a very old channel a long time ago. There's video of me shooting it, or of one of my friend's moms shooting it. But that thing, talk about something kicking you in the shoulder, like that sucker, boom, felt like you were shooting a cannon. Now I'm saying this to the guy who literally shot cannons in the military, and he's thinking
Not cannons, rockets.
rockets. Well, kind of the same. Cannons, rockets, they shoot really big stuff, and it goes boom really loud.
It's like you need a lot of cannons to empty a grid square. You only need about one missile to empty a grid square. So
Okay, that's fair. I didn't mean to offend you, sir. I apologize.
it's like one thing that Rocketeers hate more than cannon cockers is being called a cannon cocker.
Is that the term you guys use?
Oh yeah,
A cannon cocker?
cannon cockers and Rocketeers.
Oh, man. All right. So, anyways, I talked my guy down at the gun show for my Mosin. I think he wanted like 300, and I got him down to like 250. And nowadays I've seen some like sniper Mosin versions with the original sniper.
Sniper has always been expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so $1,000 expensive.
It's because it's well, maybe not 1,000, but it has always been exponentially higher.
Okay.
Just because the scope itself is especially if it's original, is pricey. It's like valuable.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And you actually have to and the rifle itself has to be tapped and actually mounted. Like the mount for the scope is permanent.
Okay.
So it's a completely different system, and they're much far more rare.
Okay.
So
So I seen a sniper version for like 1,000, but even the regular Mosin Nagants, like right now, are like mid sixes.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know how much an SKS is right now?
I'm scared to know because I paid mine.
Okay.
I think I paid $200 for mine.
You paid $200 for yours? So, okay, this will never happen ever again. Like, as far as I know, it'll never happen again. Unless something happens and guns just become super normal and this podcast becomes irrelevant because then everything's normal with guns. But
well, the big thing that's hurting us now is because all the stuff we're talking about were all imports, like surplus imports that the other countries didn't have any need for. So,
and in order for a country to import into the U.S., it has to sit in a neutral country for 20 years, right?
For something like that,
yeah. So before imports can ever hit our market, it has to sit in a neutral country for 20 years.
Firearms. Not just anything, firearms.
Firearms. In order to import firearms into this country, it has to sit in another neutral country for 20 years first. Which is crazy to think about. But yeah, so you bought your SKS for $200.
Yep, at a gun show.
At a gun show. I think my first one I bought, I think it was like 3-ish, I want to say, maybe 350. But the old timers, the guys who like 2 world wars, I said that on the last podcast, but those guys,
they were living it up. They were getting like crates for like $50.
$75 a piece.
Well, they were also having literal crates of Mosins.
Yeah.
For like $50 a crate.
$50 a crate?
Yeah, because there were so many.
Oh.
Well, you got to remember, they sent so many to us, and there was millions of those things made.
Yeah.
Millions, and they were just, you couldn't give them away because
yeah.
Well, at that time, they also thought Russian made, automatically bad, terrible.
Right, nobody's going to want
terrible
these.
Quality, which turns out they're not quite terrible quality.
No, they're actually good. Honestly, I've had a Mosin Nagant. That thing shoots true.
Those things were made when stinking men were men.
Yeah.
And the women were too.
Ooh.
So.
And the women were too.
So.
Only real women give birth to American men.
Pretty much. Russian women gave birth to Russian men who fired the Mosin.
Oh.
You know.
Pump them. I'm talking about Americans.
America.
Hey.
It's like, we get 2 world wars, they get a revolution. So.
Yeah. Hey, whatever. But yeah, so a crate of Mosins. How many came in a crate? Do you know?
It's probably like 5.
Like 5?
5 to 10. I don't even know.
Okay, so I personally don't know either. I know there is a company that I follow. They get a lot of surplus in. I've seen them unbox crates worth, and it's mostly like pistols, but sometimes they'll have rifle crates. Mm-hmm. But like the SKSs, those are in the mid sixes too, right now.
These are
a good one.
We're in a great time for firearms, but also a terrible time for firearms.
So, according to a buddy of mine who, he's the guy that I go to, he has a shop here locally. According to him, he said the worst time for firearm sales is when a Republican is in office.
Oh, yeah.
He said the absolute best time is when a Democrat's in office. Sorry, I didn't ask permission for political nonsense for that. Is just
though.
That's just it right there. Boom. That's all it's gonna be.
But it's just funny though. It's funny.
Hopefully
it makes sense.
Dogs.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so you could get a crate of SKSs. Well, no. So the guys that I used to talk to, they remember. They said they used to go to gun shows and there'd be like 55-gallon drums full of SKSs, and they'd buy them for $75 a pop.
Yeah.
I long for those days, but they will never be there again.
I wish I had been old enough to buy firearms during that time.
Oh my gosh, me too.
It's like, man, if I had gotten into firearms just like 5 or so years earlier,
Yeah.
like pre 9/11, if I was old enough to buy firearms on my own pre 9/11, oh man, we would have been.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what's crazy is when I turned 18, I had a little bit of a collection going. So, it's crazy because man, the stupid stuff we do when we're young. I mean, if you're young, don't be dumb, okay?
Stupid stuff you do when you're old.
Oh my gosh. So I had a ex who more or less told me that it was me or the firearms, and me being young and dumb, I was like, okay, I'll sell the guns and buy other stuff like fishing stuff.
This is why no one will remember your name.
I know. I'm a nobody. That's all right. Let's wrap it up. We're done here. No. So yeah, I had one of the things that I really miss from my collection. I don't even remember the name or the brand it was, but I had a 12 gauge shotgun that was a pump action, but it was an 18 inch, which is legal length, 18 inch barrel. I think overall length was like 23.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't a youth shotgun. It was almost like a home defense. It was all blacked out. That thing was a cannon. I shot that thing in my backyard one time, and oh my gosh, I thought my eardrums were gonna burst. Boom! Just like I thought it was a cannon. Like for all intents and purposes, it was a cannon. It felt like a cannon.
Speaking of cannons, we need to buy a cannon.
Ooh, is that legal?
Yes.
Tell the people.
Yes, it is legal to own a cannon.
You can buy a cannon.
Yes.
But we can't have these.
Right.
Or they don't want us to have these.
Biden says
These are scary.
According to our great commander in chief right now, we're not allowed to buy a cannon, even though yes, we are allowed to buy a cannon.
So are we or are we not? I need this settled for the people. Can we buy a cannon?
Yes.
So are we talking like a
not a howitzer?
Small one? Like a desk one?
You can buy as big as you want, as long as it's black powder and it's a cannon. You're not going to buy a howitzer, which you stick a stinking. It's not a breech loader.
Okay. So you heard it here first, folks. You can actually buy a cannon.
Yes.
They are not illegal. They are legal. Actually, matter of fact, I'll do you one better. If you have a gun manufactured before 1889, I think
99.
1899. You're right.
I have 2 of them.
You have 2 of them?
Yes.
Sweet. If you have a firearm that was manufactured before 1899, you do not need an FFL to buy that.
Correct.
For our people, what is an FFL?
Federal firearms license. Basically,
a gun dealer. Someone who sells.
Either dealer.
Dealer sounds
bad. There's also the CNR.
Right.
Curious and Relics, which is.
So that one you can get as your own type of. Like you can get a Curio and Relics license, but that is also a federal firearms license.
But it's it's restricted to collectible type.
Collectibles. So made before a certain point.
It doesn't necessarily have to be made before a certain point. It just has to be labeled as something that's considered collectible.
Okay.
So there's a CNR list.
Okay.
Of firearms that are collectible or deemed as collectible. So you go through that list and you're like, okay, this is what I have available, and there's always stuff getting added to it. Part of that is because of the age, because of like antiques.
Yeah.
Because the antique one stuff starts getting, because Curio and Relics includes antiques.
Right.
So as decades pass, more fall into antique, right? But But outside of that, not everything is considered like you can probably get if it's an original AR-15, right, or M16. From
like the 60s,
right? That would probably
maybe even 70s.
Could be 60s.
Okay.
Could be considered a collectible. So depending on which like if it's on that list and if it's this type, right, and then you can go out to CNR websites and be like, all right, these are what's being sold, and
right,
they're still going to cost you a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Not as much as not having this FFL, but they're going to be pricey.
Mm-hmm.
But when you buy it, you don't have to.
You can actually have it shipped to you if you have that license. But just know, if you have that license, ooh, there's nothing in that can but a beverage of Fizzy Cola.
He just turned French for a second.
So anyways, God, I forgot what I was saying. Now, as far as that license goes, if you have that license, you are subject to inspection by the ATF. And I will say this: follow the ATF laws. Don't be stupid.
Oh, CNR is a little lax because it's just more collectors.
Right,
but the other ones, though,
it's still an FFL, and they still can audit you if they so wish to screw with you.
They can audit you. I don't know if there's. I don't think there is anymore. For a while, they were toying with the idea of having a limit on how many firearms you can buy at once.
That's a thing now, though.
Do they do it?
Well, right now, if you buy multiple firearms at once, they automatically check you.
That's dumb.
As far as civilians go, like if you and me were to both go into the gun shop and you bought 3 ARs and I bought 4 pistols or whatever, anything more than one, and honestly, there's websites out there right now, there's gun websites that you can buy. Just to clarify, for those who would be like, you can't buy guns online. Yes, you can. You, however, have to have them sent to someone with a federal firearms license.
Yeah, and they do the transfer.
And they do the background check.
And then transfer.
And there's background checks.
Yes.
And then they do the transfer. That transfer goes into your name, even though there's not a registry. That's a topic for another time.
Yep.
But yeah, so you can buy online and have it shipped to an FFL, go there, fill out the background check, and all that. Now, I totally forgot where I was going with this. I totally spaced out.
Federal firearms license audits.
Before that, though. Oh, this is bad. This is only podcast number 2.
How many firearms you can get at once?
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's websites that you can buy package deals. Like it'll be like buy. Believe it or not, there's a website I can show you. Actually, I don't mind dropping this one. Can I drop this one, this name? Because I actually have multiple of their firearms. I think they are one of the greatest American-made firearms to date.
No, we are not getting sponsored by them.
We are not sponsored by. This is just a self-endorsement. I have multiple of their firearms, and if you go on Palmetto State Armory, I'm not going to say the rest of that, but you know the rest. Palmetto. Whew, man, words are hard. I swear to you. Look, you want to smell this?
No, I'm good.
There's nothing in that. I promise you. There's nothing in that can. I popped it open before we hit play or record. Wow, I'm batting 1,000. Anyways, Palmetto State Armory actually has deals where you can buy a pistol and a rifle for a set limit price. And they are Palmetto State brand firearms, which I think are great. Now, I don't know how it works with that since it's kind of like a set deal. I don't know if they word it differently in the paperwork, but I do know if you buy more than one firearm at a time, it is legal. It is completely legal. You got the money, go do it. I think there's like an extra check in there somewhere as to, does this guy have a background? I mean, all of that stuff gets ran anyways, but I think somewhere in there's like an extra check, and they can put you on what they call a hold. So when you fill out the 4473, which is the piece of paper, the form that when you buy a firearm, it says, are you a felon? Are you this? Are you that? It's basically your background check. You're filling out all this information, and they're going to run a background check on you. They're going to run your information and make sure you don't have any warrants, make sure you don't have any, you're not a felon, you're not a prohibited possessor. When you fill out that form, I think even now there's one that says multiple. I could be wrong, okay, guys, but I'm almost certain that if you buy multiples, they're gonna check you on it. Oh, what I was saying was if you when you fill that out, you either get an approval, a denial, or a hold. If you get a denial or a hold, you are not getting that firearm. And even some states have waiting periods anyways. So you can't just walk in and I want that one and walk out the door with it after you pay. It's not how that works.
Well, most American states do. But I was actually shocked that this state required a cool down period.
Yeah.
I was actually
and you know what? That didn't happen. That was not like that when I moved out of state. But while I was living up north, that Parkland shooting happened. And that Parkland shooting is what really changed the gun laws here.
Well,
and
yeah, because when I lived in Oklahoma, none of that existed, and it sucks because right before I left, they went full constitutional carry.
Yep.
I was like, oh, right before I came.
So did Indiana.
Yep. Here they kind of went half constitutional carry.
Yeah, they went constitutional carry, but they called it a different name.
Well,
a horse by a different name.
Well, they didn't go constitutional because constitutional carry requires, or basically says you don't need a license to carry. Period. Open or
right.
concealed, and you can open carry rifles and any of that.
Yeah.
Here, they simply all they did was no longer require a license for concealed carry.
Right.
Everything's still restricted.
Well, so in the
carry.
state of Florida, the concealed weapons license is called that. It's not a concealed firearms license. It's not a concealed pistols license, because in the state of Indiana, it is called a I'm pretty sure it's called a concealed handgun license. And that's to carry. Now, Indiana also has, if you have that license, it's weird how it's called a concealed handgun license, but you can carry it concealed or open. If you have the license, it interchanges. So in Indiana, it didn't matter.
They just probably didn't want to change all the terminology.
Right.
They probably changed the law, but didn't want to change all the terminology.
So in the state of Florida, though, it is a concealed weapons license. If you can conceal it, meaning if you could get a 12-gauge shotgun down your pants and down your pant leg, down your left leg, if you can do that and not look like a goofball doing it, Florida says it's okay.
Yeah, but I mean that's fine and all, but it's still concealed. It's like so they that's just my point. It's just they only went halfway.
Okay.
And restricted it to concealed, whereas every other constitutional carry state did both concealed and open carry, and that's why they call it constitutional carry.
All right.
Whereas here it was like a pseudo constitutional. I'm not necessarily complaining.
No, I like
it's just that.
Yeah.
It's just that it's funny that they're like, oh yeah, Florida finally went constitutional carry. It's like, did they though?
So it's funny because I don't know if Florida's the only one that calls it permitless carry.
You're right.
But they now call it constitutional and permitless carry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because I don't know if Florida's the only one that does permitless carry or calls it permitless carry, but it's now when people reference it, they're like, oh, constitutional or permitless carry.
Right.
So I was thinking about saving this idea for another podcast, but since you brought it up, ding ding, ring the bell, school's in. Like, we're gonna go to, because we have different of opinions here.
Oh.
How do you feel about open carry, and should it be legal? 2-part question. How do you feel about open carry, and should it be legal?
Well, the second one I'll answer right now. Yes, it should be legal.
I agree with that. Yes, it should be legal. Okay, open carry, and in the state of Florida, a lot of people don't know this, but if you are hunting or fishing or on your way to either one of those, you can actually open carry in the state of Florida. It is a legal. It is the way it is written in the Florida state statutes. You are allowed to carry, and that's why a lot of these First Amendment auditors, they'll like walk down the street in Florida with a fishing pole in their hand and have a AR-15 slung around their body. I think that's asking for trouble. But if you're walking around and you got a pistol on the outside, you might be able to get away with it a little bit easier. I mean, forget get away with it. It is legal. Okay, it is legal. And then, again, going back to the state of Florida being a concealed weapons state, not a concealed handgun state, there's gray area there, right? But it's absolutely legal to do on your way to fishing or hunting or in the middle of that process. You are allowed to open carry.
Right.
So,
what was the first?
The first question is, how do you feel about open carry and should it be legal? Yes, we both agree it should be legal. Period.
Yep.
No question.
So for me, I lived in Nevada.
Right.
Open carry state. Okay, no license for an open carry. You just need a license for concealed carry, which is weird. But yes, it's weird.
Okay.
So you could open carry anywhere you want.
Sure.
I open carry often when I was in Nevada or in Las Vegas. I don't.
Wait, so it's legal to open carry on the strip?
Technically, yes.
Oh wow.
The only time I've ever open carried on the strip was immediately after work because my job was on the strip.
Okay.
So I just went across the street to eat.
Yeah.
And that was technically the only time I've ever open carried on the strip.
I will say, if you're going to open carry in Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's area, they are a firm believer of the F around and find out rule. Just know that. Look up their shooting records. It's like, I think they lead the state in the amount of shootings. And they come out with it, and they're like, look, this is what happened. The guy was an idiot. What else do you want?
Right. But for me, I strategically open carry. Okay. However, I also am not of the mindset that open carry necessarily makes you a target, and it does not necessarily makes you asking for trouble kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay. There are exceptions, at least on the asking for trouble, just because of the current climate.
Sure, of course.
Of the stigma that has been created over the last 20 to 30 years. And that's mostly with like rifles. Okay? Because they're big, according to the media, big scary rifle kind of thing.
These ones right here.
Right.
These ones.
So it's one of those things where in my mind I'm like, man, he shouldn't be doing that. That's asking for trouble. But then I have to remind myself, oh yeah, it's still his right.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not,
sure,
he can still do that. Now, in saying all that, I never carried on the strip. Like in the main, if I'm just going out with my wife to go hang out and check out the strip or go into the shopping areas there, I would never open carry. And the reason is, the biggest reason, because most people in there are from either other states or even other countries.
Other countries, right? It's a big
tourist area. So they
don't
know what to do with that. They see gun, they think bad.
Or cop.
Well.
And you got to be careful with that too, because you don't want them to think.
Because.
No.
I would be in a regular t-shirt and pants and whatever. I wouldn't look like a cop. Most people can tell cops from there because they all look like cops over there. Even off duty, they look like cops. Good case in point. So I told you our indoor range was on the strip, right?
Yeah. So
we had a parking lot. In fact, it shared the same parking lot as the hotel that they filmed. What was it? The Hangover.
Oh, really?
Where the
with the tiger.
No. The because that's a Caesar. But ours was further down
No, I meant in the movie The Hangover that there's a tiger in the movie.
So that movie, right?
Yeah.
But you know the little rundown hotel they went to meet the it was like a prostitute or stripper.
Oh gosh, I think I watched that movie one time when it came out a long time ago.
Yeah, that's basically the same with me.
Yeah.
The only reason I remember is because we shared the
Parking lot
with that hotel.
Okay.
That they filmed it in, right? So, wow, I'm boring you.
No, I'm tired, dude. I've been up that early for work, so sorry. Apologies.
No, what was I saying? Oh yeah,
that shared the parking lot with your job.
So we still get a lot of foot traffic of tourists in that area, right? Well, one time we have our firearms, and we used to do our own advertisements.
Okay.
Right, like Instagram, all that junk, right? So, but we would bring the guns outside, take some cool pictures, and then bring them back in, right?
Yeah.
Well, we did that. And one time, someone saw it and called the cops on us.
Okay.
Thinking and the only they said was someone with a gun at this location.
Oh dang!
So
that's not good. So you left work. Oh
no! I was still at work. We were all at work. It was in the middle of the day.
Oh, it was while you were there.
Yeah, it was all,
okay.
So we didn't know who. We didn't even know that happened.
Yeah.
Until a cop walked in, wondering what was going on, and he was visibly confused. Because he walked in, saw a whole wall of guns, and was like, "We're like, hey, what? How can I help you?" And he's like, "Yeah, we got a call saying they saw guns," and he's like, "Yeah, pick one."
Pick one.
He's like, "Yeah, I don't think they knew what this was."
Oh my god!
So it was most likely someone from like another country or someone that just wasn't used to guns.
Sure.
So all they saw was, because we probably had ARs out taking pictures of those.
Yeah.
Maybe because we had a Barrett, so it might have even been the Barrett. All they saw was gun.
Yeah.
Big scary gun.
Yeah.
I must call the authorities.
Sure.
Because that's what they're conditioned to do in wherever they're from.
Okay.
So that's kind of the reason I wouldn't open and carry in the main populated areas. There were a few instances that were kind of funny though.
Yeah.
One time, I was open carrying, and it was like a Taco Bell or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were eating, and a random dude came up to me, literally thanked me for protecting them.
He thought you were a cop.
I don't know if he thought I was a cop because it was still common. Everyone knew open carry was a thing. So I don't know if he thought I was a cop or just was awkward and I don't know.
Or maybe he was like, "Hey, brother,
pretty
2A."
Much, maybe. Then another time we were going to like CC's.
Okay.
And the cashier.
Love CC's.
Yeah, the cashier was like, she was from a different country.
Okay.
Probably immigrant. So we were going and we were getting in, and she's like, is that real? She's like, starts getting scared. I'm like, yeah, it's real. All right. She's like, okay. I'm like, don't worry, it's not bad. And I was like, I do this for a living.
Right.
And kind of try to get her to.
And see, so that's I want to hit on that for a second because my mother is the exact same way. Mm-hmm. The exact same way. Like her dad was a cop. My grandfather was a cop in East St. Louis. Oh, and my mother, my whole life growing up, was terrified of guns. Which, by the way, if you watched the last podcast, we were talking about how we got started with guns and everything. Well, my mom didn't know about that whole scenario with me and the guns. She found out after we came back from the country. She was not with us. Oh, buddy. My brother's got ripped a new one. But anyways, yeah. So there are some people who they'll see it and that they'll freeze. Like, oh, am I getting robbed? What's going on? Like, that's the whole point.
Right.
We should normalize it. It should be legal. Now, right. Going off of what you said, I agree. I think it should be legal. But where he and I differ is the fact that I think if you open carry, I think it does make you a target. to an extent. I think it makes you a target because in my mind, if I'm going to do something, which I wouldn't do because I'm sane, sober, moral person, but if I was going to go do something, if I run into a building and I know I'm going to do some stupid crap, well, if I see someone with one, they're going to be the first one I go after. That's part of my problem with open carry. Mm-hmm. The other part of my problem with open carry is most people that would do that do not have retention holsters. They have these cheap garbage like polyurethane, just it slips in, slips out. Like if you were to get knocked backwards, your firearm's going to go flying because it's not in any type of retention holster. And if someone, I mean, nowadays, listen, mental health is a serious problem in our country right now. And you could have some random person just decide, I'm going to mess with this guy because he's got an open carry. Now, most people are going to leave you alone. I'm sure most people are going to leave you alone. Most people, like that lady, she's like, they might see it and get scared, but they're not going to mess with you. Some people are stupid. Some people, free gun.
I guess my question for you on that one is, do you have stats to back it up?
I do not have stats to back that up.
That's
the
kicker, ain't it?
But I do have, I don't know about real world experience, but the area that I grew up in was a rough area.
Yeah, and how many times did you ever hear someone, they took that other guy's gun, how many times have you heard that? How many times has it actually happened?
I've heard of guns getting stolen. I don't know if it was off of their person.
That it's not stolen because we've had my dad's shotgun got stolen. They broke into our house and stole it.
I know what you're saying. That's different than getting it pulled off your person.
Yeah, being actually disarmed essentially.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the difference between stolen and disarmed, right?
I have not seen that. Mm-hmm. But
and I think that's where we differ. I think that point. There's not enough instances of it happening to where I've never actually heard it happen.
Right.
For me to justify that it is a thing. Same thing with becoming a target. The open carry guy is the first one downed by the bad guy. Usually the bad guys they got blinders on or they're going straight to that cashier.
Okay.
Right?
Or they're going to whoever they targeted.
They're not really scoping out all the people in there. They're scoping out the cameras, the person, maybe waiting for people to leave. Mm-hmm. That's why they do it mostly at night, because there's not virtually never anyone there. They're not really caring. They don't want a confrontation. They just want to get it done and get out whatever crime they're going to commit, whether it's theft, murder, whatever. They want to do it and get out of there as quick as possible before they get caught.
Right.
So they're not trying to, think about it. Even the shootings, right? Or do you think they're caring about open carry? Because they're trying to go specifically to those places that don't have firearms.
And no. Mostly no, but I'll tell you why. Mm-hmm. Because, and this was proven in the last shooting in Tennessee, the person literally was going to go to a different target, but they decided that it was too much of a hard target, as we call it in the lingo, and there was too much security, so they went to the other school. So I think... So
that would be the opposite of your point.
What do you mean?
Because they decided not to go after the people who were open carrying or concealed carrying versus the people who just aren't carrying at all. So if they see that someone's open carrying, if they actively see a firearm in there, that might be more of a deterrent than anything. They're not just adding a target to their mindset. They're saying, that might be a little more difficult than I want to, because they might draw faster than I can. Or they might see me before I do, or right before I get to them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see your argument now.
So it's like a...
I get what you're saying. So yeah, it's difficult.
That's just why, for me, it's not a... You're not making yourself a new target by open carrying. And if anything, every single cop open carries.
Yeah, and so
it's like it's not because their firearm isn't what makes them. Hey, I'm going to go after this guy. It's their uniform. You see what I'm saying? So usually now, you can usually tell the people who know what they're doing with a firearm versus someone who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the person who's open carrying, you can tell by, like you were talking about the holster. I agree. You should have a retention if you're going to do it.
At very least.
I had a retention.
Yeah.
I had a level 2 retention for mine. And I had a buddy who had level 3. So we all had retention.
So what's the difference between a level 2 and a level 3?
If I'm not, hopefully I get my terminology correct. If I don't, tell me in the comments.
Sure, yeah, add the comments.
Level 1 retention is just like, it's like, there's no button.
Yeah, it's in there.
It's in there.
It's just in there.
It's tight.
Okay.
But it's not, there's no button or anything like that.
Right.
Level 2, there's a button that it clicks in.
Okay.
And you hit the button and you pull it out. Level 3 is a button and a cover that covers over.
Okay, so you'd have to move the cover and the button. Okay, so that's what I was thinking as well. So I'm glad we're on the same page on that. We're on the same page on something.
Yeah, hopefully we're right.
I hope we are right. If
Yeah,
not, throw a comment down. Tell us that we're idiots. It's all right.
Yeah, but
our wives do that
but
anyways.
that's just my. I've never, even in the open carry state I've been in, I've never seen open carry as a problem. In fact, the third instance that I had with open carry experience was I was going to Fuddruckers,
Mm-hmm.
and I was open carrying. I had just got off work. My wife and I went to go to Fuddruckers before we head home, so I'm still got my firearm on me. We get our meal, or we make our order. I'm getting drinks and stuff. And you know how the Fuddruckers, they have those waitresses. They're not like technically your waitress, but they're the people who kind of go around and make sure you're good.
I have never been to a Fuddruckers.
How un-American can it be?
I mean,
well, you can barely go.
I don't know that they have any in Florida.
Well, they closed the one that was here in Orlando.
Yeah.
Because you know that place right across from Disney that used to have a bunch of places, but they closed that whole area down for, I guess, they're redoing stuff with it. Anyway, there used to be one in there.
Okay.
But anyway, that's beside the point. So anyway, I was in there.
You said on the other side, across from Disney, and I'm sitting there thinking, dear God, dude, there's like 5, 6, 7 parks of Disney.
I'm trying to think of...
You're not talking about Disney Springs, are you? Like downtown Disney area?
No.
Okay.
But it is on that... It's right before the main gate that you go through.
Okay, I know where you're talking about. Yeah, where those hotels are.
Yeah, where they had the hotels, but then they also had the... but it was like there was a few restaurants, and it had that... one of the golfing areas that closed down.
Like a putt-putt place?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I know
it was in that area.
Okay.
It used to be in that area, and now they closed it down.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever been to a Fuddruckers. My wife will probably correct me on that. But
if you can ever get a chance to go, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Really good burgers. Anyway, so I did that.
You were at Fuddruckers, you were open carrying.
I was open carrying, I was getting my drink, and one of the waitress ladies comes up and is like, "Oh, your friends are over there." I'm like, "Friends? I don't have any friends here." It's like all my friends are probably at home right now. You know, they just got done with work.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are they talking to? Why would she know?
Yeah.
Turns out there was an open carry rally going on in the area, and they were actually doing a get together and making their little signs and everything to promote open carry. I guess they were going to do a rally the next day or something.
You were a part of a political agenda?
I wasn't. That's the problem.
You got thrown into it.
That's the problem. I wasn't.
Oh, man.
Well, then...
So it was a rally for open carry.
It was a rally for open carry.
And she thought
since
all your buddies are over there.
Since I was open carrying, automatically she thought I was part of this group.
You know that meme where it's like...
Right?
Like you're looking out of the side of your eye. Well, it's like, nope, they're not. I'm not with them.
The thing is, you know me.
Yeah.
I can't stand any kind of rallies.
Yeah, for sure.
I hate protests.
Even the peaceful ones.
Even the peaceful. I just don't. I think it's...
Where they burn cars down.
I don't even... Right? I just can't get behind the whole... I see it as like almost like an adult version of temper tantrums. Right? That's just the way... I know that it's their right to do it. I'm okay with that, but...
We believe in... Again, this podcast... believes in your first and
Right.
your second,
It's just I'm not going to join your.
but
rally.
don't abuse your
It's
first.
like, well, not even that. You can do it. I'm just not going to join it. So if
For
you come to me and ask me to do it,
No,
like,
we're gonna be in
"Nah,
our
bro,
own castles, just making sure everything's stacked
it's like,
here.
"Nah, I'm good, bro.
you know.
You can go wave your pink sign, saying whatever whatever it says.
But what if they had a rally for open carry? Kind of like that.
It was open carry.
No, I mean, like, what if they had a rally like pass open carry law?
I wouldn't. I don't care. I don't do rallies. It's like you can do your movement.
Yeah.
The government's going to do whatever the government's going to do, regardless of your. Now, there are times when we're making change. I'm like,
Maybe.
maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
Time will tell on this.
Sure.
So, and then when they do, it's like good for y'all.
Yeah.
When they just get hosed down, well, that's funny. So it's in my entertainment. But anyway, the point is,
yeah.
the head guy for this rally came up to me and just started trying to recruit me. And I was like.
Yikes.
It's like, dude, I was like, of course, I'm trying to be cordial. I'm trying to talk to him. Hey,
Join
this
our
is
group. We have buttons.
cool. It's like, you should do it. Yeah, we believe in this. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, man. Just here to eat my burger. I just don't.
I'm just here to have dinner with my wife. That's
I
it.
really don't care. It's like, I'm all for you guys doing it. I'm doing it. I'm not joining your. It was like that movie. What was it? Forrest Gump. Sorry about your Black Panther party.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not.
I'm sorry I ruined y'all's party.
It's like, and that's kind of like me. I'm just like, you know what?
I didn't mean to open carry in your presence, you know. I just wanted to eat a burger.
If I knew we were here, I wouldn't. I just no.
No,
It's like
I can't get behind that.
it's
I agree. You know, I think rallies, I think peaceful protests have their place, they have their point. But man, I mean, after the events recently of just, and I find it ironic. And all right, I need my. Can I get a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, I've got my approval. All right, so I'm not going to name anything because we'll get shut down immediately for it, but y'all know what we're talking about. There was one side that did it, and it was okay, and then another side did it, and they jailed everybody for it. Okay? And the crazy part about it is you've got these politicians on one side of the aisle that are actually calling for it. And it's like, where's the outrage? Okay, you guys demonize these people over here for it, but what about them? That's what irritates me. I'm all for your right to protest peacefully. I'm all for it. I agree with Devin. I am not joining you. Y'all go ahead. I mean, if it's, it would have to be like a life or death situation for me to jump in because,
it would have to be like
if we don't do this, they're gonna kill us all.
yeah.
And it's not like conspiracy theory, they're going to kill us all. It's like, no, they're threatening everybody with death.
like imminent.
Imminently.
Like it has to be Bunker Hill level
Right,
type
right.
stuff, you know, or we're being invaded by something.
Right.
You know, that's. I'll get behind you. I'll take up arms. I'll do whatever. Right.
But again,
I'm not even if I'm like. Even if the political thing that they're doing is like I'm really passionate about it,
yeah.
and really I agree 100%. I'm not like and I will.
Like we agree with the permitless and the constitutional carry.
Right.
It's a thing. It's
Right.
in the Constitution, and the way it's worded literally says shall not be
Right,
infringed.
I will, and sometimes I mean,
And we're passionate. We're both passionate about it.
and sometimes,
But you won't find us at any
sometimes
rallies.
I've been accused of actually being extreme in my views on
Yeah.
because I am pretty. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be honest. I am pretty in the modern age. I'm pretty extreme when it comes to the 2A.
Well, you could be on one side of the aisle, and the other side's going to call you extreme no matter what.
I consider it extreme among our
From
side,
our own
from
side.
Our own side.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I'm like, they would see me as that's a little too much. It's like no, and it's the only, and I've only become more, I guess, I don't want to use the word radical.
yeah.
Because it's not a really good, not really. I'm not radical. I'm not radicalized. I'm just my logic.
Again, we're normal guys. We believe in the 2A. We believe in the first. Okay.
It's just
We believe in all of them, but especially those two.
It's just the whole last couple decades have shown me that a lot of the laws that you and I would be like, yeah, that should be a law regarding guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, eventually gets turned against us.
Yeah.
And those, just seeing that every single time, it's not like onesies or twosies, every single one that has ever been made eventually comes back around to the good citizens.
Yeah.
Because every law is made to deter the bad guys, right?
Yeah, but
They always end up...
None of the bad guys care.
Yeah, and they always end up being used against the good guys.
For sure, yeah.
So, because of that, I have basically become, you know what? I even think felons should be okay, should have their rights. Just because they're a felon, so be it. Because at least if that's the case, if a felon can have their firearm, they have every right. I guess who else gets one? The good guy.
Right. But what about a violent, repeat offending felon?
I know, and that's why I say when I sound extreme.
Okay.
It's because my brain and my heart says I don't want that guy to have a gun.
Okay.
My logic, seeing how the government has used my heart and my mind against me, I must now become hardened to what my mind and my heart says, and say no. I can no longer. The thing that I know should be right is no longer being used in the right way, and I can no longer be behind it.
So if they were to put the laws forth, and it really did only punish the bad guys, the guys who abuse the system, you'd be okay with it.
I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's no longer.
We don't live in that society.
We cannot.
They
trust the government.
They throw a blanket law out there. They say, "Oh, it's for these guys. It's for the ones who abuse the law. It's for the criminals." But in reality, it ends up getting turned around on good guys who are literally just trying to live their lives, normal lives, and
And now we struggle every day with the ATF.
Yeah, every day we got there's reports of people getting locked up. Just recently, the CRS firearms guy, he just got locked up because the ATF said that a metal plate that he was selling
with a drawing on it.
I will say, he was baiting the ATF, bro. The way he was selling those, he was like, only send me a money order. And he was almost doing it in the ATF's face. Still legal.
It's 100%.
Still completely legal. He was just selling a metal template. Not even a template. It was a metal plate that had like Devin said, it had a drawing on it. And he's facing what? Like 40 years or something like that.
Life.
The rest of his life, basically.
Yeah.
And the other guy, his business partner, is facing 110 years.
It's like...
Which I have a gripe about that for a quick second. I'm going to jump on a soapbox, throw my tinfoil hat on for a second. Why give someone who's 50 years old 110 years? Or, okay, I'm 30-ish, somewhere in there. Why give me 90 years? If I live that long, do you think a frail old man's going to be doing anything stupid? No.
Yeah.
You think he's not... Okay. I just have that gripe because it's I think them giving people 8 life sentences back to back. Just give them 1, okay? Do they deserve the 8? Yeah. Do they deserve the counts for each one? Yeah. But they're not gonna live long enough to survive the first one. So why are you gonna stack it up on?
Yeah, it's just a
rant over.
It's the government doing the government things.
Yeah.
But
which we love our government.
So yeah, that's why. We will not lie to you. I hate the government, so...
Whoa! You're trying to get us shut down before we even get started.
I used to be in the government. No, it's not so much. It's like, I agree with that we should have government. I'm not an anarchist.
We agree that we should have government, but we agree that a government should not abuse its powers.
I believe very much in a small government. Let me rephrase. I hate what the government has become.
That's fair, because it's funny that you look at things that happened in the Senate and the Congress in like the 70s, and it was like, yeah, we disagree with each other, but we could still get together after work, after a Congress session. Let's go over here to this diner together, and all of them could sit down and eat and talk about, well, this is why you're wrong. And, you know, I've talked to my dad about that before, and I say, you know, I miss the days where you could have a political disagreement with somebody and still be friends afterwards. Like, if you found out one of your friends was, you know, on the other side of the aisle, and they agreed with nothing you just said about government. They agreed with nothing that we've said on this podcast so far. They think guns are bad, okay? And they think that guns are bad, and that nobody should have them but the police and government. And you know what's funny is I could sit down across from a table with that person, disagree with them, and still be okay with them. But there's a line. Don't cross that line. And I think that's how it should be. No matter how someone votes, no matter how someone lives their life, just you do you. Don't push you on me, because...
Yeah, that's kind of... I'm the same mindset. Unfortunately, most people who, for me, when they find out I'm on what my mindset is, they usually leave the relationship long before I ever like, hey, yeah, we should still be friends. Like, no.
Yeah.
It's like,
if you could only see the stuff that's in that mind.
My own mother has called me militant.
Oh, well. It's not.
And not even because of my actual militant mind things that are up here, the things I don't say.
Yeah.
It's because of the things that I do say that's way down.
Right.
So
yeah. You do realize that this podcast is trying to make normalcy of the 2A, right?
You're the normal guy. I am the, I'm kind of normal. No, not really.
You're normal, okay? He's normal, okay? He goes to work every day. He lives the American life.
I don't say the things I want to say because I'm.
But this is our platform, and we believe in the First Amendment, so we're gonna say whatever we wish.
I'm not gonna say everything that's up here, but I do. I mean, I teach at a liberal arts college, so it's like, come on. I do have to limit myself.
Yeah.
So
if not, you get fired.
It's not that bad.
Well, getting fired.
I've been fired before.
Oh.
I'm just like it's.
I've
been homeless before. It doesn't matter.
That's another subject for another podcast, man. That's interesting. We should get into that. But speaking of podcasts, we are out of time.
Yep.
This one ran a little long, but hey, this is what we do. We're real. We're live. We're doing everything as we go. You know, you got me jumbling over my words like mushmouth over here. You got him being militant according to his mother. You know, my mom would probably think I'm militant, but you know, it's funny because we will have this conversation on a later podcast. But I had to have that conversation with my mom because she's like, "Oh yeah, we shouldn't have AR-15s. They're not good. They're not good." I don't know why my mom just suddenly sounded like
from New York,
Canadian. Like, don't you know? They're not good, don't you know? No. Anyways.
I think that's Canada.
No, that's Minnesota.
Wow.
No, Canada's A. I forgot. Listen, I have family from Michigan, and one of my aunts used to say A all the time. A. But anyways, we will have that conversation another time. But there's a reason why you have your amendments, and if you take one, they're gonna take them all. And that's not me being a conspiracy theorist. I'm telling you right now, gun control has never been about the guns.
We should talk about one day. We should just talk about the entirety of all 10 amendments, not just the first two, because everyone talks about the first two.
Yeah.
We should definitely talk about have a day.
Go through the amendments. Let these people know
the Bill of Rights.
Yeah. Bill of Rights, not suggestions.
Right, and I absolutely hate the fact that they decided to go with the term amendment, because now
because it could be amended.
We'll talk about that when we
Yeah.
talk about all the Bill of Rights.
All right. Thank y'all for watching. Well, this is another edition of the Arms Room. We're inside the Arms Room. This is the Arms Room 15 podcast where we talk everything. Nothing's off limits.
Pretty much. Usually without guns.
Mostly about guns. It's pretty much about guns, but I mean, sometimes it goes off on a rail. You know, sometimes it does, but we find our way back on track.
Yeah. We go into all the rabbit holes, but we get there. We get there.
We
That's
get
all the
there.
point. That's
We'll see you on the next one.
Laters.